All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining the Fall LAN Town Hall. We really appreciate everybody being here. This is something that is very exciting for a fall engagement. We enjoy the opportunity to come here and pull back the curtain and share a little bit about what we are doing. This is the third town hall. It started last year. And it really is it's that chance for us to share with you what happens behind the scenes. With the AFOL engagement team, there's a few of us that you're going to see on the LEGO Ambassador Network. There will be a few of us that you see at events, but there is so much that's happening behind the scenes that we really wanted to start doing something a little bit more public where we could come and let you know what is happening for you. The agenda has been shared, but there's a small change to it, so we'll get to that. It's near the end of the meeting. The meeting is being recorded. It will be shared, and you're welcome to share this with your community members. So that is something that will be provided. We're not certain if we're going to be able to get the recording out to you today or tomorrow. It really depends on if we're able to get it to our team member that'll post it on our official channel in an unlisted section later on. There will be a Q&A at the end. So if you hear a presenter that speaks and you have any questions, write down your questions, keep them in mind, and at the very end, you'll be able to ask those questions. So keep that in mind. And with that, we'll kick this off. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with Tormal. Tormal's here?
Yeah, I just had to unmute myself. Yes, I'm here, and I want to share some reflections with you. But first of all, I want to say that I'm pretty energized, because I was one of the lucky ones that attended Scabic Fun Weekend, this past weekend. I can see a couple of you here were also there. I met with you, said hello. That was absolutely brilliant. After such a long, I would say such a long night for a year and a half now, that actually finally be able to get together again. And for us from the AFOL engagement team, colleagues from the LEGO group, including our CEO, it was extraordinary to be at Scabic, meet with many AFOLs, and just enjoy, the camaraderie, community, and the awesome creations. But kind of the reflections I want to share with you now is that back in 2015, I had a chat with one of my colleagues in the AFOL engagement team, and he said, I just talked to an AFOL, and he said something to me. He said, I hope that one day the LEGO group will acknowledge me as a legitimate consumer. That made a huge impact on me, because of, as you know, at the time, adults were not a part of the LEGO group's target group. Myself and the team, the AFOL engagement team, have been working with AFOLs for almost 20 years now. So we have obviously always acknowledged AFOLs, but as you know, what our mission has always been inside the LEGO group, to promote LEGO building and LEGO play as a lifelong experience. And now the LEGO group, as you know, welcome adults. And we do that with a new range of products, targeting, as you know, the 18+ range. We do it with content, and we do it with campaigns as well. So I hope that all of you now and all other adults and teens also out there feel that they are now acknowledged as not only legitimate, but also consumers that we appreciate very, very much. But I also want to make it clear that although we embrace all our consumers, kids, teens, families, adults, there are beginners, and then there is the AFOL community. As adult Lego fans, you are so much more than consumers. The beginners, all the new adults and teens who are joining the Lego brand and the Lego Play, buying Lego sets these days, they are beginners. You are certainly not beginners. You are creators, you are producers, you are community builders, you are innovators, you are inspirators. AFOL community is very precious to us, and I hope that you feel that, in the dialogue that we have with you. Regarding the many new adults and teens who are starting to build with Lego bricks these days, let's invite them into the hobby. And also, let's show older kids, talking about 12 and 13-year-olds who used to, come to an end of Lego play. Let's show them that there is actually a future for them also with Lego building and Lego play. So thank you, and we appreciate the relationship that we have.
It's great. You have such a vast history with us, and it's always very appreciated that you come to these. So we really appreciate it. So next up, we'd actually like to hear from someone who hasn't spoken at a LAN Town Hall before. It is from the marketing integration team. We have Pelle.
Hello, everybody. I'm just gonna share my screen, but just to let you guys see my face first. So here I am, live from Billund, sitting in a small coupe here. Fortunate enough to being able to get back to the office again. It feels wonderful. I'm just gonna share my screen, and then I have a few things that I want to talk about as well. I'll also give an introduction to myself as well. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
That's brilliant. And also, if I go in here to presenter mode. Still see the screen?
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so what I'm going to talk a bit about today is that there is a personal story behind every AFOL. And that's a priority that we have right now in the marketing integration team that we also want to be telling both to the rest of the organization, but also to the whole world here. I've included some images from an old Brothers Brick feature that kind of illustrates this in a great way, I think. First and foremost, my name is Pelle. I'm Danish, as you can probably hear from my accent. I live in Aarhus, and I've been part of the Lego group for 5 years now, but I only just started in the AFOL engagement team. I've been part of the in-house agency, so that's the guys who do all our packaging and commercials and so on. But I transitioned here after I had my own parental leave. I transitioned into being a maternity cover for Mette that you've probably seen in the past to be part of the marketing integration team. When I worked in the agency, I worked on the whole adults welcome thing. I worked in the strategy department, looking at how we could welcome in new consumers. And please don't hate me for the 18 plus part. I know that we are hearing you guys around the whole use of 18 plus as well. So yeah, but I've been part of the journey with a more low affinity consumers, but I'm very excited to join the AFOL engagement team and starting to work with you guys that are very passionate about the Lego brick, of course. Christina is also part of the marketing integration team, and I think she presented to you guys at the last town hall. Basically, what me and Christina do is we talk with the rest of the organization, so our product group, and we talk with them about opportunities of where we can include AFOLs or you guys in our communication and show the skill of you guys and what you guys are doing out there. So basically, what we've been focused a lot around in the marketing integration team today is very much the creativity and the aspirational things and builds that you guys do. We either get the activities on Lego Ideas, we show the 10K products, we get the toy photography from Brick Central and Stock and Plastic, we get brick films and all the challenges that we post on LAN to collaborate with you guys as well. Here we really want to show the creativity of the AFOL community. However, a recent thing that we have started to focus on more, and we want to start to focus on in the future, is also telling the story of who's behind the curtain, you could almost say. So the personality of the AFOL community. So it's more than about building with the brick. This is, of course, always going to be a focus for us, and we also always want to appreciate you guys for the creativity that you bring and the aspirational things that you bring. But we also want to start showing like who's behind the building and all. We have started to doing this in a couple of different ways, and the reasoning behind really is that part of the journey that Tormod just talked about is normalizing building with Lego bricks as an adult among non-fans. You guys have been lifelong fans, and you really know what it means to build with the Lego brick and how you appreciate it as being a hobby experience. We want to also expose people who haven't necessarily built with Lego or going through the dark ages for that same excitement. We're also working very much with showing how being an AFOL can be a very socially rewarding activity. Joining a Lego user group or an online community can be something that really that means a lot to a lot of people, and it's a place to belong with some like-minded and discuss interesting things. Furthermore, there is also showing AFOLs as a diverse group of people. We're really also in this to show that when I say diverse, I both mean in terms of gender, sexuality, but it's also in terms of background, in terms of what you're working with, and so on. Because what we have found out, or what a lot of people in the AFOL engagement team have known for a long time, but what I found out starting in this new role here was that AFOLs are like you're as different as anybody, right? And we really want to start telling that story that to be passionate about Lego is not really anything with your background to do. Anybody can do it, and anybody should be able to do it as well. Another thing we're also starting to look a bit at is that we know a lot of our AFOLs also creating special bonds with their children through Lego building. That's also a story that we want to start telling a bit more than we have done right now. Because we believe there is something special here. And we know a frustration for a lot of parents that are not Lego builders themselves. We know like you guys would have a story to tell that could be interesting to them as well. So I'm just going to try to go to the next one here. So far, we are already on a journey about this, and I'm going to show you some of the things that are already out there, and I'm going to go through them and put a few words to them as we go along, but it's not going to deep dive into each one. For the Adults Welcome campaign or the Find Your Flow, I don't know if you've seen, but recently it launched on social media. There's going to be a few other things launching in the next month or so. But one of the things that is already out there are these advertorials that we have done with three of you guys, where Jordan basically reached out on the ambassador network and asked if there were anybody interested in participating in this campaign here. We have a story from Will Reed, who's legally blind and uses Lego bricks to let him see. And that's really a story we found great and we wanted to share with the world. These are advertorials. They're going to be placed in magazines around the world. Right now, they're looking at in the US to place it in something like the Wired magazine and so on, where we want to be telling these stories and showing the people that are building with Lego bricks today. We also have Nathan in the middle. He who says like Lego bricks help me connect with my kids, and the last one is with Anna Bitanga that shows how Lego building with Lego bricks helps me create new stories. So these are advertorials. They're only going to be available in the print magazines that they're going to be placed in. However, we have also have these online testimonials that are online right now on lego.com/adults, where we are also telling these stories here. One of the stories is from Ines, who's part of the Filipinian luck, who's telling how she, through a luck, started making friends from all over the world and being part of that, and also how you being part of a Lego user group gives you the opportunity to make connections and meet with other like-minded people as well. So, as I mentioned, this is really a way for us to show to the people coming into the Lego experience for the first time that there is more to it than just being a consumer. There's also being part of a log. There's also toy photography, another way to express your passion for the Lego brick, and another passion, which is photography. So yeah, we kind of feel like these are new ways to tell a story behind the AFOLs. And just to show you here, these are also some videos that's been made for the same campaign that are also going to go live within the next month or so, where we have interviews with Anna, Donnie, and Ines as well. So yeah. Then for another campaign where we also worked together with the Lego Ambassador Network team, or Jordan and Sine and Sarah was on the Future Builders campaign, where we looked into for International Women's Day if we could find more specifically female builders that are into the Lego building experience. Basically, the campaign had a range of different testimonials. We also interviewed colleagues, female colleagues, where they talked about like being part of the Lego group and their work. And with the AFOLs, we talked about like building with Lego and how it's had a special place in their lives as well. So this was really also to encourage girls to start building, because as you probably know, a lot of the kids consumers that we have today are boys, but there is a very big push towards also being more open-minded into like getting girls into the Lego building experience as well. And then the last one I'm going to show here is Everyone is Awesome, which was the together with the product launch of the Everyone is Awesome product. We also did some interviews with the with some of our AFOLs that are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and asked them about being part of an AFOL LGBTQIA+ community. So did some interview and the whole background of that and how they felt about So basically, what we are looking at is telling more of these stories as we coming forward. We already have some in the pipeline with some of you people, both in the very near future, but also more than 1 year ahead. We are working on some things there. So if you have any questions and so on, you can ask it in the Q&A or through your ambassador on the Lego Ambassador Network. So over to you, Jordan.
I just suffered from the mutes, so but it was great, Pelle. Before the meeting started, we were actually having a chance to talk about the Rebuild the World campaign and the Find Your Flow campaign, and actually seeing the traces of AFOL that were in there. Whether it was the monorail and the Find Your Flow, the goat, and the older elements that only AFOLs would really pick up there. What you're doing in order to help that is amazing.
Exactly. And just to let you know, when we talk with the rest of the organization, they often ask us as well about these small details that AFOLs would appreciate in whatever we are doing. So in the Find Your Flow one, it's an example of a collaboration where the team behind really wanted to, pay a tribute to the AFOLs without being very vocal about it, but just doing it subtly as well there. And I also think you can see, especially in the Rebuild the World, there are a lot of really cool stuff in there as well. So yeah.
Really appreciate that. Thanks, Pelle. So next up, presenting for the LAN team, we have Sarah.
Hello. I'm going to share my screen too because I also have slides. So let me just get that going. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So hi, thank you, Pella and Jordan. My name is Sarah Scahill. I am excited to join today's town hall. If you don't know me, I work usually with fan media, but these updates will be for all ambassadors. I only have a couple of slides to go through, so just kind of talking about some high-level things we're looking at over the next couple months and year. So diving right in. So I'm sure many of you know like the long journey that we've been on to get, Tormund was talking about it too, to get AFOLs, like to get the LEGO group recognizing like the power of AFOLs and the adult audience. We've finally come to our senses. We're making these adult targeted sets, which are doing amazing. And our department is now kind of looking into the question of what do AFOLs love the most? If you took the passion survey we had out, I think over the summer, you probably saw some questions to this effect. I included a little chart from one of the survey questions. What do you love the most at events? So you'll start to see some more questions around this on different surveys we send out, and we want you to really like think hard about that. I mean, obviously, as AFOLs, you probably would love getting free sets the most, but other than that, we want to look at, what gives you energy about the hobby? What do you really enjoy about building, about going to your lug meetings, about going to events, that kind of stuff. We really want to keep this insight and make sure that, when we do create new opportunities, new programs that, we're focused on this, on fostering this love. So speaking of love, keeping on that topic, what is this? What is this screen I've included? I've included a really boring spreadsheet? No. This is the Community Opportunity and Engagement Matrix. So we've also gotten a lot of feedback lately from NPS surveys that the LAN is really focused on our lugs, or really focused on fan media, really focused on Europe, really focused on North America. And we really want to, diversify a bit more. So we started tracking opportunities. This spreadsheet includes all recognized communities and all opportunities we do. We're both within our department and outside of our department to kind of spread the love a bit of these different opportunities. We probably won't be able to work with all 365 communities in this next year, but we do want to push different parts of the LEGO group to engage with different fan communities to get a more diverse offering there. So that's something we're looking into. And then my last update is about this pilot we're running called the Pop-Up Embassy. So right now we are looking at piloting this in the next few months and into 2022. The first stage would be Ask Me Anything style sessions. If you're familiar with Reddit, you know that Ask Me Anything would be in this case a designer or a LEGO rep coming onto a recognized channel and saying, hey, I designed this set, ask me anything about it over a set period of time, and engaging directly with the community there. This is different because we've never really officially engaged outside of official channels. We've mostly done stuff on like the LEGO owned Facebook page or the LEGO owned YouTube channel. So this is a way to get LEGO reps kind of engaging outside the LAN, which would be really cool. We also are looking into social monitoring, not in like creepy Big Brother way, but in a keeping tabs on the pulse of the community way. We know that as ambassadors, you come to the land and you usually tell us when there is a problem, and we really appreciate that. But we also want to know even earlier when there might be a problem or a situation in the community, or even something the community is very excited about, so that we can be better prepared for that. So we will have more information on this later. This is just very high level. So that's my super short 3 updates there. Thank you so much for bearing with me. And of course, if you've got questions on them, you can include them in the Q&A. So back to you, Jordan.
Thank you, Sarah. A lot of talk of love there. It's right. It's what do AFOLs love the most? It's spreading love to different communities, and now it's bringing our love to this pop-up.
I should have used that as a title on my different slides to keep an overall theme.
No, in regards to the spreading the love thing initiative that the team has taken on, that is an amazing opportunity, and something that allows us to actually look and say, okay, we have an opportunity popping up in France. Are we giving every single opportunity to one community? And we can actually look and go, you know what, we haven't used this community in the last 6 months, or here's 2 great communities. Let's make sure we use them in this initiative. And everybody here, not everybody, I apologize. It's like Sarah said, it'll take us a while to hit everybody within a year. But everybody should be a little bit more familiar with those outreaches, saying we are reaching out to 10 communities with this opportunity, or we're hitting 5 countries and 2 communities in each one with this opportunity. And I think that was a really great initiative that Sarah and Christina helped create. So thank you for that. So next up, we have a familiar face representing LEGO Ideas. We have Hassan.
Hi. Great. So I will skip the PowerPoint presentation, so you just get to see me. But yeah, it's great to see so many of you, and yeah, I think some of you who I also met at Scareback last weekend. That was, as always, a really cool event. So LEGO Ideas. I think if you've joined the previous couple of town halls dating back to, I think, September last year, even, you'd probably have heard from me that we've been on a bit of a wild ride over the past year and a half. It's been somewhat of a journey where we've seen increases across a variety of engagement metrics on LEGO Ideas. A huge number of new users who have submitted more content than ever before, and voted for more things than ever before. And a lot of that has led to more projects going and reaching 10,000 supporters. So that's definitely been on our mind, and it's also no doubt meant that we through that past year and a half have had to reprioritize some tasks and focus our energy on maintaining the levels that we've had. And I think that's why I'm really happy. Like, in terms of my update, it's not it's not going to be anything new in terms of site functionality or that kind this time around. But for me, I'm really excited the fact that in our team we are growing. So already back in April, I think just after the last town hall, we had a student worker join the team. And then as recently as a couple of weeks ago, we also had a new colleague join us, Dorota, in what is called a Digital Service Excellence Manager position. So with these additions to the team, it really helps us build capacity to handle this sort of influx in interest for LEGO Ideas. Not just on product ideas, but contests and activities as well. And specifically, when we look at what Camilla has been helping us with, it's been you know, we've been overwhelmed with the number of submissions that have reached 10K this past year and a half, and you know, and part of what we also want to do, and I think that maybe, you know, to a certain degree it ties into what Pelle mentioned and some of their ambitions about talking to the persons behind the creative builds. We've always seen this as like an important part of Lego Ideas, wanting to share who these like amazing creators are, and that's something that we do through our 10K interviews. So Camilla, our student worker, she's been helping us with that at a time where it's just been blowing up. With, you know, in this past review, we've had 57 submissions reach this milestone. So an enormous amount of interviews almost coming out on a daily basis. So I'm really thrilled that we could still maintain that level of content and sharing all those amazing stories, because it's deeply fascinating to hear from so many of these members and to share those stories with the rest of the community. Then on the flip side, then we have Dorota, who started as a digital service excellence manager, and she's coming in to help us focus more on service levels. So basically, the various touch points that we have with Lego Ideas members. That can be from anything from moderation to our email ticketing, to you know, the way we handle contest prizes and getting those out to fans and so on. We want to be better at that, even more so than we have been in the past, and that's all to ensure that we give Lego Ideas fans and members the best experience that they can get. By doing so, it also means that we can free up some of the time that we've otherwise been spending on sort of covering across other tasks, where someone like myself or my colleague Jacob, who some of you probably also know, where it'll allow us to focus more on the engagement aspect of the Lego Ideas experience. So, for instance, that could be doing even more content around AFOLs and celebrating fans even more through the Lego Ideas platform. So I think that's where we are at this point, and obviously it'll take a little bit of time before we really get up and running, and before Dorota also gets up to speed. But I think it's a really exciting development that we have more hands on deck to really up the quality of the Lego Ideas experience. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that's all I have for you all today. But yeah, thanks. Back to you, Jordan.
I think it's a really cool journey that we've gone on with you over the last 18 months. You know, if we look back at the town hall, like you said in September, you highlight this challenge, and we need to identify it. And then in the April one or the March one, you're like, we've identified it and we're taking action. And now that we actually get to see that come full circle, and all these new hires that are helping to support your team, it's kind of cool to be watching your journey over the last year on that. So appreciate appreciate what you've shared. Next up was going to be Pedro with the AFOL community integration team, but Pedro did have something come up last minute, so I apologize for that. But it did clear up time for me to talk. So I actually wanted to speak on something. So this sort of works out in the essence of time. So the one thing I wanted to talk about, I guess it kind of comes back from Scareback. So as you've heard, a lot of us were recently at Scareback. It was an amazing time, and we appreciate the ones that made the journey. It was unexpected. We did not expect you to make that, and we really appreciate the challenges that each one of you took in order to be there. And we also appreciate everything everybody did in order to make it a safe and healthy event. So thank you for that. As if you were there, you might have gotten the opportunity to run across Niels or Jorn V, These were magical opportunities. We also had about 15 different designers that were walking around and talking to you about your creations. That was inspiring, and I think that is what really helped set Scareback as one of these holy grail type events that it's just a magical journey. We did have an ambassador meeting as well, which a little more than 30 ambassadors were at. Again, we really appreciate the time that it took for you to get there and setting aside time to meet with us. Sina mentioned that in the past, there was a year, 2019, there were 100 ambassadors there, so you can actually see what the difference is between now and typical year. We do want to make sure that you know that if there were any questions or if there was anything that you weren't able to ask, that we are available. So please reach out if there's anything that comes to mind or any follow-up questions that you had. One conversation that came up a lot, so I figured I would talk about it now, is actually the Fiat. The blue Fiat is something that a lot of people had questions on. And it is a really interesting journey that we went on with the blue Fiat. Blue Fiat came up, or was brought up to us quite a few months ago, where they reached out to us and said, "Hey, we want to do a pilot, and we want to learn about retail experiences and different products in different markets, and really how that, how the consumers would react to something like this." By bringing us in, we actually took all the feedback that you have shared with us on the LAN, and this, if we look back at 2020 and all the Comic-Con sets that were available, the Star Wars Celebration sets that were available in the US only, we took all that feedback and we applied it to this pilot. From that, we were able to get the limit on Lego.com of 1 per consumer. That was because of your feedback. We really appreciate that. And you guys gave us the data that we could actually use. So thank you for that. We were able to secure a website that ships internationally, and the product is still available. If you go to Zavvi.com right now, you will see that it says pre-order November 30th. So you can still order the product. So for anybody that is seeing this as a regional exclusive, it isn't. It really is a pilot that is there to test this finite thing that we needed to test in regards to retail products. But the team that's responsible for this pilot had it available globally. I think it's like £3 shipping to have it shipped to you. So if you haven't taken advantage of it, you're missing out. Lastly, and if you look at some of the conflicting information, right? We were during the roundtable. Lena Dixon and Michael, they participated in a roundtable, which again kind of goes against the pilot. They wanted to keep it secret. They wanted to really have the pilot just be there and exist. And again, we were there stressing the importance of keeping the AFOLs informed. Which they actually allowed us to do a roundtable with them. And one of the points of the roundtable was, will the elements be available for purchase? And the answer was no. And the reason it was no is because it was still something that we were fighting for. We were stressing how important it was for those elements to be on Bricks and Pieces. We were fighting for you because we recognize how important elements are. This was light royal blue. I think it's colored 212. It's a brand new color. And we were able to get roughly, I think, 50 or 60 brand new elements from this pilot available on Bricks and Pieces because of the data that you provide us with. And we really wanted to shout that out, that when you're saying stuff on the Lego Ambassador Network, when you're saying stuff to us and you're sharing these personal stories of how something impacts you, we take every single piece of that information and we use it to better your experience. We use it to challenge our department and our company to take risks. And we really appreciate all the data you gave us so we could have the Fiat reach more fans. So right now, there are all kinds of stats being piled up by this fiat test, this retail test. It's testing new consumers going to Zavvi, return consumers coming to Zavvi globally. We're checking to see where they shipped, who was interested, stock levels, how quickly they're selling. All these different things are very important to this test. The one thing that is important is if you don't buy the blue fiat now, you will not get it in the future. That was one thing that they were very clear on, is don't expect this fiat to launch globally. It is strictly for this pilot. And to be honest, I'm very happy and surprised that it's still available. So if you do want it, strongly recommend you get it. As obviously as a fan and being part of this, I was online at 1 a.m. Denmark time to get my fiat. And the product lead, he was there with me. So it was pretty cool to be having that conversation with him at 1 o'clock in the morning, be like, did you get yours? And he said, so we are just like you. So, but that is something I just wanted to share with you, just how grateful we are to have this network and to be able to get insights from you. So, and with that, I appreciate your time. We will now open it up. Oh, I can do one more thing for Pedro. Pedro will be bringing it up on the LAN. One thing he was going to be sharing was Q4 AFOL shopping days. So he apologizes that he's not able to share it with you today, but he will be bringing that information to the LAN. So keep an eye out for that in the coming week. But with that, we appreciate you being here, and we will now hop over to the Q&A. You are encouraged to raise your hand, and we will call on you, hopefully in the order in which you raise your hand. There will be, it looks like there's going to be a lot of chatter in the chat. I apologize if we missed something there. So I am going to encourage the raising of hands so that everybody can be part of the conversation. So, all right. And we are going to start with Mugs. Wade.
Hello, everybody. I'm new around here, first week on the job sort of thing. I have a couple of questions. One I touched on before, but Pella, with the behind the scenes, with the Rebuild the World campaign, did you guys do a like behind the scenes, or is there any way to get a sort of behind the scenes of different sort of trivia that you've put into the ads, and that be a whole different campaign for AFOLs?
Yeah, I can reach out to the Rebuild the World team. So we are in close dialogue with them often. So I can reach out to ask them about them and the production company, if like where they have hidden all the clues and so on, and like ask if they've produced anything. I can try to reach out and see what they reply.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And with the jumping to other people now. Sorry, Jordan. So am I allowed to ask more than one question? Sorry.
Yes. Ask your question.
With you mentioned, you touched on the bricks and pieces stuff. We noticed that the Build-A-Fig parts aren't in there. So the Builder minifig parts.
Okay, the BAM parts from the stores, the yes. Build a Mini, where you get this. Yeah, it seems like they do Halloween things during Halloween, and there's different ones. The bunny, the chocolate bunny, or something from Easter-ish. Is
it possible to get them added to the Pick-a-Brick for people in Australia specifically who don't have access to a Lego store because it's so far around? And is there a way to either bring them up or categorize them so we can actually order them directly?
That is a good question. One of the reasons for the Build a Mini is the in-store experience. It is that experience of going to the store, running across other people, having that unique and amazing thing that a Pick-a-Brick wall or a Build a Mini offers. I can definitely share that request. I'm certain they've probably tackled this request in the past. It is a brand retail initiative, right? And sometimes there are certain initiatives like this where they say, no, that this is still to encourage that in-store experience. And so that might be the reason why they might not be interested in it, or why they might not want to go to something like that. But we can definitely share that desire, because you're right, there are certain countries that can buy bricks and pieces but don't have a store yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. And we're gonna go to Peter. Peter, you had a question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Just I'll add one to support for the Build-A-Mini parts in online, because we have tons of stores in the Southern California area, but it's still really hard to get those pieces sometimes. It's dependent on if the store manager gets in their order, and if they don't get in the order in the right window, your store will never see those pieces, and you'll have to try to track them down elsewhere. My question though and actually that feeds into it. You know, to give a little background, I think that one of the strengths of Lego as a hobby is that it is relaxing, that it is, you know, collaborative, that it is about seeing what you can come up with and what you can build and all that. But I've seen a disturbing trend of marketing based off of scarcity, both from the Bricklink Designer Program, of scarcity, and then the marketing based on that scarcity. Bricklink Designer Program, the Fiat. Those are sort of intentional scarcity, and then unintentional scarcity, like the gifts with purchase, the VIP coin, the Hubble. There's marketing the blacksmith, where things are scarce, and then we've also seen marketing based on that scarcity, saying these are limited edition, these are exclusive, act now. The fear of missing out sort of marketing, and I see that as at odds with the adults welcome message. It doesn't seem very welcoming to have to try to be on a website at 1 a.m. in the morning if you think you know might ever want this set. And I get that some of these are pilots and that's how they're being trained, but it's still a trend of this scarcity and this marketing based off of it. I've seen frustration from my members of having to jump through hoops to get things that they may want. And this is, you know, people who are engaged in lugs. I can't imagine what it must be like for someone who isn't an AFOL or you know, is new to the hobby and is, you know, sees something that they're interested in, but finds out that they can't get it because they weren't on a random website in the middle of the night to order it.
That is a good question.
So I guess to sum it up, the question is how do you reconcile this scarcity and this marketing based on scarcity with the adults welcome message?
Yeah, I don't know. It hurts, you know, because it's certainly not intended. The pilots and so on, that's of course intended because it's a limited quantity to test something out. But many of the examples you mentioned, I've seen also the Lego Ideas typewriter being sold out in the US for I don't know how long on the Lego.com. It's again, we are not sufficiently good in forecasting, and maybe we are also taking a bit of surprise on demand. We keep being surprised actually on demand on certain products. So I think the only thing I can do is to say, well, it's certainly also dialogue within the company that you know, we know that there are many people who want a specific set, and it's hard to get it, and we are doing what we can to improve on that.
And if I could speak on that a little bit, we have these meetings where consumer services, Lego.com, AFOL engagement meet up once a month, and we share the voice of the consumer. What is happening? What challenges are consumers facing? And every department is there to say, here is what's happening. And we could identify certain pain points. And we go back to February, I believe it was February, and we said, look, this is a pain point. And everybody in that agreed, consumer services, Lego.com, AFOL engagement, we all agreed that there's this problem. And it came to forecasting. The forecasting team came there and they presented. And they said, hey, you have to remember that forecasting was based before this new shopping behavior took place. COVID, when COVID hit, the way that consumers shop completely changed. And the forecast that was in action was based on routine, was based on that normal, and guessing on how that was going to still be in play in January, February, March was very challenging. What the forecasting team said in February or March when they gave this presentation, they said, it'll take us until Q3 or Q4 until we can catch up with forecasting, because by then there were already sets made. The production had already moved on to what they were producing next, and they couldn't just go back and magically make more of a certain item. And so I really hope that in the last 2 months or so, you've seen, especially with the gift with purchases that were selling out within 5 minutes, that you've seen a shift in that, because that was never the intention of that instant sellout. It is strictly just a new behavior and trying to balance forecast with this unknown factor. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, Dev, I appreciate the both answers. The forecasting I completely understand. It's a crazy world and everybody is trying to catch up. The marketing is still there though. The marketing around scarcity, especially I think the most egregious example is the Bricklink Designer Program. And you can say it's Bricklink, it's separate and all that, but it's still a touch point for AFOLs and for new fans to the hobby. And they built into that marketing there saying scarcity, that scarcity was a selling point, that limited edition was a selling point. And that's not a typical LEGO experience and not one that I think goes with the adults welcome message.
That is something that we actually...
I'm cautious of that sneaking into other elements too.
That is actually something that we've been advocating for on our team, is when there's a product that is going to be challenging. And if you look back, we didn't used to say this, and it used to be a pain point for AFOLs. Something would come out and sell it in a heartbeat, and everybody would be like, you never told us about it. So actually sharing, hey, AFOL, this is going to be a hard product to get. That is something that AFOL engagement has been very passionate about, making sure that we keep you informed on that. So when you see this is limited, you want to get it, you need to get it quickly, that's because we've been fighting to make sure that you're informed. So that is actually a good thing that we're trying to communicate. But you're right, it'd be nice if things weren't so limited and we wouldn't have to communicate that because they were more broadly available. So, all right, we're gonna move on to James. You're muted, James.
Am I still muted?
Nope, now you're good.
Okay, good. Okay. First of all, thank you for everyone. It's been a really, really good experience so far. My question relates to brick colors. It's getting frustrating when you're building a brand new set out of the box and various bricks still don't match properly. And I just wondered what's being done about that. So you take the blue Fiat, for example, the color match between some of the different elements isn't great. And it's really noticeable. And when you're spending, lots and lots of money on a set to have that frustration, and it's been talked about for a while, but I just wondered what's going on behind the scenes to try and rectify that. Thank you.
I think I manage the relationship between AFOL engagement and consumer perceived quality. So I think that's me again. So, all right. So the Lamborghini definitely highlighted a problem that's been there for a while. So we don't need to pretend that the Lamborghini was the first one that had this issue. But what the Lamborghini really did was make the issue more mainstream, where we can all say this wasn't good enough. Consumer perceived quality put together a task force in order to look into this. And it wasn't just a quick fix. It wasn't a how can we fix this one issue. It was what is actually making these issues happen. and how can we take action on it? Now, the one thing that we've learned through the Lamborghini is that the plastic can be the exact same color, and when it goes into the mold, it comes out different colors. That's the problem. There's no perfect scenario there. That takes a lot of work to be able to figure out why does that happen. So there's a few different things that are making it happen. One is texture. So you'll see that there's a different look in textured elements. Another one is density of the brick. You'll realize that there's certain densities versus a slope versus a standard brick. And you also see that it's how the model is designed. So if you look at a set, a Fiat is a really good example, especially the yellow one, because the blue one's not as noticeable as the yellow one. But if you look at the yellow one, you'll see that there are dark plates behind sloped, cool yellow pieces. And that is where you're going to notice those color, I'll call them errors. I don't know what the appropriate word is right now. I apologize. Differences. Where it's outside of that target range. So you are going to see that the task force behind this is looking into all different kinds of things. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of different tests that they're doing, and I apologize because I don't know which ones are what's confidential and what's not. So I'm not able to speak further on that. But what I can do is during something like fan media days, we can have consumer perceived quality come there and talk to you about this again, and they can tell you and know what's not confidential. They can tell you what they've been doing. But I want you to know that in the past, it might have been maybe people, money or whatever. They literally have hired a team to look into this. They're hiring and looking into new ways of molding. They're looking into, do we literally put in different colored plastic into different molds so that way they come out the exact same color? All that science, exactly, all that science stuff. And that's a good point. So if you get to the heat, when you mold a cold machine and you mold, those elements are going to come out the same. Now, what happens when that machine's been running for half an hour and there's that heat there? Again, consumer perceived quality will probably tell you what they've been doing in regards to that. But let's see if we can get them here to talk to you, because it is a real issue and the LEGO Group recognizes it. And if you look, we sort of ignored it. We pretended it didn't exist. We talked about how it's within the appropriate range. Till that Lamborghini, and you got everybody to agree with you that we can do better. And ever since the Lamborghini, we've been 100% on your side. Not we, I mean, the company's been 100% on your side that we can do better.
That's good to hear. Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
Hey, Vincent.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for all the speakers and for this town hall and for the presentations. My question is it possible to reach the speakers who spoke today using the LAN network? I mean, is it possible to send the message within the LAN, or shall we send you, Jordan, the questions that need to be dispatched to the speakers?
Great question. Everybody that's presented today is on the LAN. So I would see this as two different options. I would see that if you think this is a relevant question to build off of the LAN, please use the thread on the LAN, because your question might help multiple people. And if there's a relevant question in there for Pella or for Hassan or for Tormel, I believe I can say that we will all be there to help answer that question. If it's something more personal, I would still say we are all here for you. And you are more than welcome to reach out through personal message as well.
Great, thank you.
Someone needs to have a question that I don't answer. So Jay, what do you got for us?
Hey, just want to say thanks to everyone for the presentation. It was great to hear from Pella and Sarah as well. We don't see presentations from Sarah much, so that was great. I had a question. As we're coming up to Christmas, it's the busiest season for the toy business. You guys notice, and we are also in the midst of a global supply chain logistics crisis. How well is LEGO prepared? And yeah, how well is LEGO prepared? And is there a possibility that there might be a shortage of LEGO due to the supply chain crisis and also extraordinary demand that we've seen in the last 24 months?
I think, Jay, it's Tormod here. I think you have probably seen the half-year result of the LEGO Group and the growth that we have experienced during the first 6 months of the year. That growth seems to continue, and I can't make any guarantees, obviously, but I can tell you that we sat in, LEGO employees to a town hall yesterday where also Carsten Rasmussen, who is heading up our supply chain, talked, and Carsten said that he was pretty confident with the in-season. But again, it's very strange times, and things may, challenges may come that we have not foreseen, but I can assure you that all the factories, all our colleagues in supply chain is doing everything they can to produce and to ship products, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that. I think, it's just important, especially for us, fan media especially, because as you've heard, when people can't get the sets they want, and these could be regular sets, like things like advent calendars as well. Like we're seeing, I'm not sure if it's an Australia thing because we're so far away, but we're seeing like the shelves just like empty in October,
yes.
which is rare. So just in terms of, I've been telling everyone to buy early to avoid getting disappointed. But yeah, it would be great to possibly see and hear a bit more from the LAN itself on supply chain issues, stock issues, just so that we can get a heads up, because for a lot of fan media, we will bear the brunt of it when things go out of stock and the community gets disappointed.
Fully appreciated, absolutely. So I don't know, John, if you can promise anything about updates, or it is hard, but if we could, if we can, we would love to do it. I don't know what you say, John.
Yeah. Well, I mean, advent calendars, if you don't get them in September, it's one of those things I've had no mercy. If you don't get it in September, because I think I've missed out on mine in the past. So it's one of those where the one thing that you have seen with this is a greater variety in advent calendars, just to talk about that one. In the past, the Star Wars advent calendar sold out every September. They then added Friends, and the Star Wars advent calendar would sell out in October. Now they've added Marvel and Harry Potter, or Harry Potter first and then Marvel. But if you look at last year with Harry Potter, we actually had advent calendars going all the way until November globally, in most markets. That was a major win, because we haven't had the Star Wars advent calendar available in November for quite a few years. But my recommendation would always be get it early. It's kind of sad when you miss it. But in regards to maintaining that communication, if it's something broad, if it's something global, if it's like a Suez Canal sort of situation and things are going to be stopped, I think we can definitely take action to make you aware. If it's a local thing, we might not be able to even be aware of it. But I think we can help you a little bit if we see a broad trend.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Appreciate that. And hope there aren't any issues with large ships in the future.
Chris from Brickstad.
Oh, hello. My question is for Pella in particular, but also I think probably everyone. It strikes me that obviously AFOLDs are a very diverse group of people, but one group which I'm not sure if I'd say they're underserved, but I would say there is a perception that they are either underserved or overlooked, is the sort of older teenage, young adult group. Dare I say the sort of people who might be interested in things like the Republic gunship and sets like that, where there's a perception, rightly or wrongly, that they don't necessarily get heard or listened to, at least. How do you think that could be improved?
Well, I think that is a very good question. I think you're pointing at something that we are also aware of. I remember 3 years ago when we, actually it was decided, to target adults. We have several times over the years tried to stretch the age upwards of the Lego portfolio. But it has, as my perspective is that has not worked because most teenagers didn't have anything to aspire towards, because there were kind of nothing up there that was exciting and interesting for them, when you talk about age-wise. So we decided to target adults 18 plus first with 18 plus range, and then knowing and hoping also that that was something that teenagers would also enjoy. And we can also see that from our sales numbers that there is actually a lot of teenagers buying into the 18 plus range. They don't take the 18 plus literally, obviously, and they shouldn't. I would also say that teenagers, now you said older teenagers, I think they feel that they are also being targeted by the 18 plus range, but the teenage years are years of transition, of course, for humans, and that's also why, years ago, or maybe still, we talk about the dark age, is that transition from childhood via teenage into adulthood, that are, years where there is a lot of things happening in a person's life, and you are distancing yourself from your childhood, you have new interests and so on. And that's because teenagers as a specific group is, I would say it's a very diverse group, and it's a group in transition, and that's why it's also a little bit hard for us to target specifically. So that's why we go with the 18 plus range. We target adults, and then we believe that over time we will close the gap between kids and adults, so the teenagers also feel fully included. That's my best answer. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. It also makes me wonder whether there's any data or anything to back up the perception, certainly that I have, and I think other people probably do, that the number of people who have never had a dark age is increasing to some extent, perhaps more so than it would have been 10 years ago, or what have you, if you took a sample of AFOLs.
I don't think.
No, I'm just saying. I think that's probably a right right perception that you have there, and I also think, without revealing too much, that yes, we have data to back that up as well. I know in various franchises as well, where we see that the kids continue into teenage ages, and we also expect them to continue once they become 18 plus as well. And it is also something that the different product groups or the different franchises are aware of. And it is, as Tormod is saying, there is already strategic work going on in relation to bridging that gap that is from 13 to 18, and we are very aware of it in the AFL engagement team, and we are also looking at opportunities to engage more with younger AFOs, if that's even a word, but to do that and also expose these AFOs towards the kids as well. It's also a thing that we're doing. I think an example on Ninjago last year with the fan documentary. There is also on Star Wars. We just just launched a global campaign where we more actively used AFOs as part of the campaign, because we know that Star Wars, we know that the Star Wars kids are some of the older kids, but we also know that a lot of AFOs have passion for Star Wars, so those are most likely the kids that are going to grow up and become AFOs as well. So for instance, the campaign that's running right now globally is talking about toy photography, mock building, dioramas, displaying, and these sort of things there. So a thing we would normally not go into in children campaigns, but that's the way where we're trying to bridge the gap as well, where we talk about these things that, like, what can you do, like, besides Lego building? You can express your creativity in other ways. But there's a very important thing of all of this is still, of course, mocks and dioramas and so on. So it is definitely something on the map, also for the different product groups that are mostly targeting kids right now and adults, and kind of forget that thing in between. So yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Dirk.
Yes, hi. Yeah, I think we've been talking a lot about products and stuff, and as you know, we met at Scareback, and it's all about the people, and I like the idea of the marketing shift towards the personality, but of course, don't forget the creativity. So I'm looking forward to see how that works out, because so far I'm not sure if I fully understood it and how it should work out. So at the moment, I feel we're doing a lot of things online, and that's also because of the pandemic, but also I think the LAN motivates us to do a lot of things online. We're communicating online, we're doing a lot online. My wish is that we find a way that we have physical meetings, maybe regionally. Maybe, I mean, we had planned that with Lego Germany, that we meet in Munich with Lego Germany. Unfortunately, then the pandemic came. I think we should, for instance, when we have the opportunity, like Scareback with a lot of international people, maybe we can do an ambassador meeting at the Lego offices a day before, right? And people, I'm pretty sure, would travel earlier if they had that opportunity, and then we have more time. So I would really love to come back to physical meetings, yeah, because then I think it's easier to exchange ideas. And also, maybe if we do it online, do it in a Zoom call. Check with, I think you talked about focus groups earlier. Let's really use that medium then to discuss things personally, because I feel it always difficult as a non-native English speaker to post things on LAN in a way that is still short but precise, and it's easier to talk.
I can just comment quickly on the thing about creativity and personality. Creativity is always going to be the center and the most important thing there. I think it was more seen as an expansion of it. Furthermore, it's also not everybody want to tell their personal story, and that's also completely fine. We're also looking for ways where you could tell the story without, showing your face, if that's also a thing, and also not being on video, so it could be written and so on. So it's a new territory for us, but exposing or showing AFOLs to a broader audience is a thing we want to do, because we believe that the AFOLs are great ambassadors of the brand, and you express a lot of the things that we believe are good about the brick. And often with that comes the personality and the creativity. So it's a match of those two. So the creativity would always be, the most important, and then the other thing can come as well. So we'll never skip that part.
Thanks. Sorry.
I completely agree. All I got to say, it'd be great to have in-person meetings. I like the idea of you guys coming here. To have everybody here to have the ambassador meeting, that sounds like a great opportunity for next year, something else to keep an eye out for. I like the idea of a longer ambassador meeting next year. I think there's many things that we can do because each one of you has so many things that we need to learn from and hear what's going on in your community. Because like you've heard with everything that's happened in this meeting today, all we do is take this information and feed it back to the company to help make your experience better. And yeah. Well, we have one more question. I think we're going to wrap up after this. Wade, you're back. What's going on? You're on Time Magazine Quote of the Year. You're on mute.
Like you said, having a ambassador meeting, is it possible to sort of engage with the fan events that we have in Australia to have an Australian ambassador meeting at the first A&E for Brickvention? Things like that?
That's a great question. So there's a few different things. The Australian office is one of the best offices from what I've heard. We can talk to Pedro. But what I've heard from Australia is that Australian ambassadors is that one of the best offices in regards to getting people together, whether it's virtually or physically, to have those meetings. So the Australian office does a decent job. In regards to the AFOL networking event, that is something that there's always, I think I can say always, there's always an ambassador meeting at those types of events from what I'm familiar with. And I can guarantee that anyone that I'm going to be at, or Sarah or Yan, there's going to be those meetings. We need to get to, Sina did one at BrickCon. I think the last one before Scareback was BrickCan. Maybe it was BrickCan or Bricks Cascade. I think it was Bricks Cascade, actually. That was the last ambassador meeting in 2019, right there in the very beginning of March. So it's been a long time since we've had one, but they will be more frequent now that AFOL networking events are kicking off again.
Okay, thank you.
And all right, it says we have one more person, Matic.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey.
Okay. So a few things, but first one, just about this scarcity and information. One thing is information, giving the information, but also there is the time aspect, because some of this information is getting out too late. It's like the day before, or even less, or for example, the Bricklink program, the prices, yeah, they were leaked, but officially they went out at the time when the sale started. So like resellers, yeah, they know their business, right? The other people, they have to decide and maybe left out. So that's just for the just to improve about this. And the main topic I wanted to just point out is people are talking about bricks and pieces. I'll just ask again after another half a year, what about the leftover European countries and bricks and pieces?
And I think I manage that relationship also. So I think that is another question for me. I really appreciate the information that you shared earlier this year. And I think the thing that meant the most from the information you shared is you shared the history. You shared the way that these remaining countries have always felt marginalized. And I really appreciate you sharing that feedback. I took that feedback and I directly shared it with the Bricks and Pieces team. So that is something to be able to share that was very powerful, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, but it's another half year. Great pieces like the animals in the city, and yeah.
I can answer. I'm going to keep going. Sorry, I just wanted to thank you to start with. My follow-up is, as of right now, there's always a backlog. When we highlighted this originally in 2020, you were a priority. It was a priority to see if we can make this happen, get those remaining, I believe, 5 or 6 countries access. Since then, there is a project happening. And with that project took priority, and adding new countries has been postponed until the project is complete. So at this point, until the project is complete, additional countries will not be able to be added. So it's not great news, but the good news is we will continue to advocate for you. And once this project is complete, we can re-highlight this need.
Yeah, but doesn't help the people that much. And that's one of the reasons I didn't reply to this refocusing on global topic, because it wouldn't be nice. It's global, but only for some global. And that's just diluting what is happening on the local forums. Like when people find out that Lego Group has increased profit for blah, 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 and we are still getting on the short end. So yeah. I personally have bought as much as I deemed possible to whatever bots are watching Bricks and Pieces animals, and distributed them to members for the purchase price. But every time I'm afraid that I get banned, and that because I buy too much. I can say.
I appreciate you sharing that feedback. And if there is any issues with you being banned, please let me know. But as of now, they stopped banning people quite a while ago for purchasing. Everybody has a purchase limit, and you are allowed to do with your purchase limit what you are allowed to do. So if something does happen, if you do get banned, please reach out. We will advocate for you.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I am sorry that this isn't the best news for you, but it's full transparency here. There is a project happening, and it has taken high priority over everything else. It'll be very clear when the project is announced and when it has gone live. And after that, let's pick this conversation back up.
Is there at least some time, like at least 2022 for that project, or even longer?
There will be information shared on the LAN in October about the project. The project will, I can't tell you when the project will finalize, but everybody will be very aware of when it finalizes.
And the information will be also for Lux or only for media?
It'll be for it'll be shared on the LAN in the Lego Group announcements.
Okay, fine. That's another point, but I won't bring it right now about the split of the information between different communities, but types. But okay, everybody knows about it. Yeah, that it happens. So you start to discuss something and find out that it has been in private discussed with fan media or online communities, and the Lux don't have the information online.
You are correct. There are different things that are communicated to different communities, but the things that are communicated with fan media is typically product launch type things. Everything else is shared with everybody. If there's a situation where you believe there's something that should have been shared with your log, please let us know so that way we can adjust if necessary. So we're not bad guys. We just need communication. So if you're having a pain point, tell us about it. Otherwise, we won't know. So
I don't remember, but it was something that people from media answered in the public common section, that it has been discussed somewhere else. I don't remember what was it. If base plates or road plates or something like this, and that's a problem.
Well, I'll just remind you one more time. If something happens, if you see it, bring it to me, please.
Okay.
Let's have that conversation.
Okay. Fine.
All right.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to wrap up the Fall LAN Town Hall. We really appreciate everybody for their time and joining us to ask the questions. You are, as you've heard from everything, you are part of this journey we're on, and we're very happy to have you here. I don't know if, Tomo, if you would like to say any parting words?
I would just like to say that we in the full engagement team appreciate the dialogues we have with you, and the town hall in particular, where we can actually see each other and we can have a, answer questions and hopefully clarify, things with you and share, what's going on in the full engagement team, and also to some degree larger, in the LEGO group. So I'm looking forward to the next town hall. I think, when will that be, Jordan? Do we know?
It should be, we'll plan it, it'll either be in March or April of next year.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice
Thank
seeing
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
May the force be with
Thanks,
you all.
everyone.
Take care, everybody.